Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. This is Dan Anderson saying very, very welcome on this week's webinar. Now, for those of you who are new to us, this is the webinar that we run on a weekly basis to keep you up to speed with where we are and what we're doing, and updates and things happening, incentives, promotions, dates, important housekeeping work, and some of the initiatives that are going on out in the market. We've run this webinar now for coming on for 7 years, like clockwork, and I think we've missed 2 occasions because it happened to land on a public holiday or something like that. But this year, or within the last month or so, we ran it on Christmas Eve, we ran it on New Year's Eve, and I was very, very pleased to share festive spirits and end of the year thoughts and ruminations. But today we have a standard webinar with some very important and quite cool things for you. So without further ado, let's go into what we're talking about. We have some things to talk about with regard to the marketing plan. We have some member run events. We have the Brazil PHISH to get access to your username, your password, and just be very, very careful. Make sure that you type the URL correctly, or that you use an approved link into your back office or into the websites of Leo. And make sure that you don't just sort of click through some random person or something that looks like it's not a random person and clicking on the link that they provide. We had a while back someone who just misspelt one of our websites with replacing one digit that was an L with a 1, and it looked exactly spot on right, and it wasn't. It was a phishing attempt. Make sure that you, and the kind of the basics, make sure that you have antivirus software and firewall stuff, and that it's the latest versions. And your back office is your back office, and you shouldn't make it easy for people to ride piggyback in there and go in and mess up your business, and goodness knows what else they want to try to do. Update your browser, and also make sure that you do the security patches, because we're living in the real world, and there's a lot of people out there who do nothing but try to attack websites and people's accounts. And if the banks like Barclays can get attacked, then certainly your username and your password and your access login is a target for them. Now, we are different from many, many other platforms out there because we have our members, and the members are the heart of our business. So the minute you have any suspicion of anything untoward happening, then you can communicate directly with team support, and they will do everything they can to help protect your account and make sure that we have the correct username and password, and that no one is kind of pirating and trying to raid and pillage your account. But then in terms of real basics, make sure that your passwords are not ABC123. You'd be astonished with how many people just use a simple letter combination, even on our platform, even on a platform where we are trying to do entrepreneurship with a very innovative approach and blockchain and goodness knows what else, and then they use the most silly, easily guessable password for access to the thing. Don't make that mistake. Now, if you have any doubts whatsoever, contact Leo support and team support so that we look after you, because they will move heaven and earth to look after you. The other thing that's quite bizarre and quite curious is that we've had a couple of instances recently of fake Leo meetings. This happened in particular in our Asia Pacific region, where there were gatherings held with that were branded with Leo branding, and that they were inviting people to present some sort of fake Leo opportunity, and it was kind of just bizarre to see the Leo brand at an event that we knew nothing about, that our leaders knew nothing about, that our members knew nothing about, and this was done by someone invited and using the credibility of Leo as their kind of thing. Yes, we've been going for 7 years, and with photos of Dan Anderson all around and what have you, and it was run by someone absolutely random who had no connection to our company whatsoever. So plagiarism, copycatting is the sincerest form of flattery, and there's plenty of people who are trying to use the credibility that we built in the marketplace. So enough said about that, but it's real, and make sure that you pass this message on to your people, because this has just come our way a couple of times, some illegitimate internet activity. But I want to talk about something different now, because as some of you know, and as many of you know, I've had plenty of time to think about our business. And for those of you who know me from years past, you know that I've often talked that leaders spend time thinking about who they are, what they're about, what their values are, what they represent, what they stand for. If you stand for nothing, you'll fall for everything. And just recently, I've been looking at our Leo business and kind of thinking through, because like I shared with you on New Year's Eve, this is what I do at the time of year when we go from one year to the next, and I kind of just think about where our past, where we come from, and the future that we're going towards. And one of the things that I've observed in terms of our business model and our plan in particular is that we have some legacy stuff from the past that I'm less than totally enthusiastic about. When we created the Leo business model originally back in 2012, we obviously had to create an attractive plan, an attractive business, and I think that we made some mistakes, really, where we created bells and whistles, we created shiny things, if you like, and some new things, and some things that we thought were quite cool. But the truth of the matter is that some of the things that we created, they kind of looked good from the front, but when people got involved and started to build their business, after 2, 3, 4 months, they discovered that it was kind of less powerful than they thought it was, and we got some of these legacies. I'm not going to go into the details of all that, but I'm going into 2019 with an absolute commitment to reinvent our business and make it fit for purpose. And I've got some very, very strong ideas of a direction, and several directions that we should go in, not several different directions, but I have ideas for products and programs. I have ideas to enhance the plan, and what I want to do is I want to lift Leo up to the next level. If you think that we have a lot of people operating in direct selling, and some of them are sort of serious professional companies with a long-term vision, and then there's people who come in and they're a bit razzmatazz, they're a bit shiny, they're a bit Las Vegas, they're a little bit lottery, they're a little bit kind of less than totally serious. And I think that what we need to do in Leo is just raise the professionalism of everything that we do. And so if you think about the past and the future, and I always like this metaphor about a car, when you're sitting in the driving seat, has an enormous, great big windscreen that you look out for at everything that you're moving towards, and it has a relatively tiny rear view mirror, and that's the things that you leave behind. We are now focused on the future that we want to go towards, not the past that we're coming from. And the future that I want to move us towards is the most professional direct selling company in the world, that is constantly breaking new ground, that is got this innovation in its DNA, that we will constantly do new things, because in 2019 the markets, the countries, the frameworks, the business, the economy, everything is moving faster and faster and faster. So any company that rests its laurels on what it's done in the past are doomed to fail, because the markets around are moving faster than they are. If you're going to be successful going forward in a business, in any business really, but especially in our business, we have to be agile, we have to be quick, we have to be creative, and we have to move with the trends. That's kind of the imperative that comes from being a company that's dedicated to entrepreneurship. That's what our training products do. That's what our live seminar programs are about. That's our stance in digital currencies. We're constantly moving towards the new ground. So, having said all of that, where I'm coming from right at the moment is I'm looking hard at different aspects of the Leo business, and I have looked hard at them for months and months and months now. And 2019, we're going to be making some changes. Now, having said that, the people don't like change, and certainly network marketing leaders don't like change because they have to train the changes through their networks. And the cliche that I've often used in trainings is only wet babies like change. Other people kind of resist. So we're not going to do anything that will be a negative change, and there's nothing to fear except for the fear of change. But we are, this webinar, launching to you an enhancement to the compensation plan. And it's built out of a recognition that some of the things that we were doing in a historical context were done for particular reasons that are no longer valid. And the change that I'm going to be launching to you today, I think, will be insanely positive. And I think that we've got hundreds of people on this call, and I think that we're going to have some random cheers and hoops and whoops and clapping and OMG, I can't believe this, because it's kind of that level of change. We are changing the platinum rank requirement. This is an incentive that we're going to try and test, because one of the things that I like to do is to test something, measure the results, and see what happens, so that we make sure that we don't bind a rod for our own back and create a change that we will regret. So for a limited period of time, weeks, but probably not months, I want to run this as an incentive on the platinum rank. And we are going to reduce the platinum rank point requirement effective this coming Wednesday, the 16th of January. Now, currently, in order to go platinum, you have to do 4,000 RP in your weak leg. We're changing that. A lot of headaches and created a lot of questions, and the pricing of the Leocoin in particular was, why are you pricing it at this level? And it seems that the platform, with the averages, the way they were working out, turned into, you're forcing me to buy at an expensive price, and what have you. We want to cut through all of that nonsense and say, we're halving the requirements to go platinum, and we're giving you £250 directly into your mandatory account for you to use there. Boom. And one of the reasons is that Leocoin is obviously one of the cornerstones of the awards that we get there, and we want to be just a little bit careful about not creating inflation or dilution of the value of the stakeholders that we have. So this is the incentive change that we're making, and you can now from Wednesday qualify for 2,000 RP in your weaker leg. So that's half. And some of our old people on this call, you'll remember that this is what the plan was before, and we kind of just found a way to fund this in a different way, and it's kind of quite a cool thing, because here is the big one. When we do this change, our calculations are showing us that we will actually generate a number of new platinums that weren't expecting it. There are people working towards that 4,000 level, and they're halfway there. If you are 4,000, if you are 2,000 points towards that qualification, come Wednesday, you will have qualified as a platinum. Boom, the mandatory money kicks. Boom, you are qualified for the Momentum Tour, which is kind of I don't know. I read research many years ago about motivational psychology, and an unexpected reward can sometimes be the most motivational one there is, because we could be tight and we could be mean about this, and we can create terms and conditions that would make it quite hard for people to qualify. And because we're changing things, we're going to apply this rule, and you would think, that's a bit mean. Instead, we suddenly have, I don't know, 500 people, 600 people, 700 people to congratulate because they're going on the Momentum Tour. We have 4, 5, 6, 700 people to congratulate because they've gone platinum and got into the rank ownership award of that. The momentum that this will kick in our business is very strong. But here's the other thing that is not mind-blowing. I exaggerate. I don't want to oversell it. But here's what's really cool. In one hit, we will get a ton of people qualified for ownership award that goes into their area of the back office where they can purchase Leocoins, and suddenly we'll have a surge of new buyers coming onto the platform on Wednesday, which means when you have a surge of buyers coming in, what happens to the price of an asset? The more buyers you have, the more the price goes up. When that happens, then suddenly the Leocoin price on the internal platform will go up in value. And what we've always known in the past is that when the price on the our exchange in the internal goes up, what happens in the external market is that it tends to follow suit. Now, can't promise that. No battle plan survives contact with the enemy, if you like, and people's behavior changes when you launch an incentive. But there's a very cool scenario here that we start to create new platinums. The momentum starts in the business, people get excited, and when people get excited in direct selling, what happens? They start to move and they start to engage in a different sort of way. So I think that this could be the start of 2019's power surge forward. Many factors goes into this. If we are right and we think that the Leocoin market will respond in the way that we think, then the people who are sitting there as stakeholders, all of you, can be very excited about that. So it's kind of just an interesting scenario. And like I say, this is an incentive. This is something that we're running for now. I've got a number of other little interventions that I want to do on the plan as part of this reinvention of the Leo business. We're also running some very interesting pilot programs starting in a couple of key markets. I'm not going to talk about that on this call, but there's some very cool things. And there is a whole new direction that our business is going towards, and there's something big is very coming. In fact, 2 or 3 things are coming that are absolutely enormous that we'll be launching over the next few weeks. So in January 2019, it's a very good place. If you're new joining our business, you've joined at the right time. If you're old, thank you for your commitment and hard work and patience, and I congratulate you on the success that you had so far, but we are only just beginning. So that is today's big announcement, and my laptop here is shaking with the excitement that you're all giving me. I see that I don't think we've ever had so many people on the call, so that's quite cool as well. Exciting. The other thing that's going on, of course, is I like to share these community activities that are happening. And every week it's a different place, it's a different location, it's a different city. And this week there was a small little Leocoin community gathering training happening in Shanghai by Tang Li Hua, who organized the training on how to use your Leocoin wallet. And these are the things that I love to see, because when people come in and they look at our business and they hear about this cryptocurrency and this coin, and they hear that we're on a blockchain, that we're trading on different exchanges, they kind of sometimes don't really believe it, because they've heard stories before from companies that do not have the positive intent that Leo has. And the photo on the right tells the story where someone has got the Leocoin wallet open. She's being instructed on how to use it. She's transferring a Leocoin to someone, maybe the lady sitting behind her. The lady behind her says, yes, it arrived. And suddenly they see that it's all real, that it all exists, that we already have a platform that is operating on a blockchain, and it works. So all credit to Ms. Tang. Really appreciate you sharing these pictures with us. We also had an event in Fujian Longyang in China, You know how powerful the Chinese market is in world economy terms. In terms of our business, there's an awful lot of interest in China, and as the most powerful economy in the world, and as the largest population of the world, some of the economic milestones that China is just busting through is inspirational. This one did make me smile, because sometimes we get translation issues from China. The Fujian Longyang team has opened, quote unquote, a white rabbit breeding-based training center. I got this thing shared with me, and I thought, what does that even mean? But apparently we have some leaders that are operating out of this rabbit breeding facility. That's a kind of a big factory thing where they're doing animal husbandry, but they've dedicated part of the office to a Leo training center, and I thought, all power to you. It's just fantastic to see. And Wendy Lee, our GM for the Asia Pacific region, came there and verified that it's all real, it all exists, that it's fantastic, and all power to you. We also have a very exciting picture to show you, again from a new market emerging, that is really inspiring me, because we have this weekend, in fact yesterday, on the 13th of January, Sunday, there was an event I think this was in Durban, and they're presented by the leader Themba Makwan. Apologies if I get your name wrong, but no, Durban City, there we go, South Africa, 13th of January. And I tell you what is really industrial design, and I don't even know where it is, but it's a full meeting room. The meeting room was that full that they had to overflow outside. So the pictures on the right-hand side of your screen is showing how people who couldn't get into the room for the presentation and for the training had to attend standing up or attending the meeting, watching screens outside. And when you have those dynamics in a market, that they come to the meeting and it's standing room only, then you really got a core group of leaders that know what they're doing and is selling the excitement that is Leo in the right way. So all power to you, the South African team. I know that your upline in the UK is incredibly excited by what they see down there, and we are trying to come down there to support you. So we're looking at organizing live seminars. We're looking at getting stuck in and do everything we can to help you. Because the key thing about the South African business is, I have not been there. Me here has not been there. None of the corporate executive team has been there. And in fact, I don't actually think, forgive me if I got this wrong, I don't even think that the upline and the sponsors have been there yet. This is kind of just taken on a life of its own. And I think that there's been an awful lot of support going on over social media and communication platforms and what have you, and daily contact and support like that. But we physically haven't been there to press your to shake your hand and look you in the eye and say congratulations and well done. And I can't wait to get down to South Africa myself to meet you and congratulate you on what you're doing. So all power to South Africa. Now again, they're proving that a new market gets on board. They have no track record with us. They have no legacy. They have no kind of grief or sort of no bad history of any sort whatsoever. They just have excitement about the future. And of course, one of the things that we're seeing in South Africa is that they're using the top of the world program, the way it was designed to work, to give the new markets that understanding that it doesn't matter when you join Leo, you can always get to the top of the world. And so it's just fantastic to see some of the promotions that our people are sharing with me, and that they're understanding the philosophy and the concept behind some of our things and our business. Now, a bit of administration and housework. Again, I have to remind you that the 31st of January is your cutoff point for your guest details. You're uploading your flights and your visa stuff and your flights and visa stuff of your guests. This deadline will not be extended, so you must make sure that you do this, because we're organizing a lot of people in Brazil, and pulling that together is not an easy thing. So observe the deadline and make sure that you do it. The Momentum Tour is in full swing now, and with the new surge of platinums coming on board, that will obviously be a sellout event in both locations. It ends on the 31st of January, so you have to help your people get to platinum so that you can go on the Momentum Tour. And I know that you're working towards that. Well, we've made it that much easier for you, so congratulations. Now, the executive trip as well is something that we're very keen about promoting, because the Cambodia trip will be one of those landmark events. The way I've never been to Cambodia, and I can't wait to go there. But me here has been there, and the way he talks about it, the seasoned traveler that he is, it sounds like something that is absolutely unique. We've got some things that we're doing there in terms of charity. We're going to sponsor the building of a school. We're hoping that we can pull all of that together so that you can, the executives that are qualified can go and attend that. But then the way that me here talks about Cambodia is that it's a trip of a lifetime, really, with these things, these ruins and history that emerges out of the jungle, a place that's outside of the beaten path for many people. So if you can qualify as an executive, or if you have people on your team that are close to qualifying, make sure they do. The qualification period has been extended to the 31st of March, and it is an unprecedented opportunity for you to meet the corporate team, for you to understand more of what Leo is about, and for us to meet you and understand who you are as a leader and what you want and what your aspirations are. So this is kind of the two-way communication that the executive program was always about, and we're just shifting the concept a little bit to make it these trips of a lifetime instead of going to the same old place, same old place, same old place. So very, very pleased about that. So fine. What about Leocoin? Well, last week, me here was able to give you some very important updates on terms of the wallet architecture and how that works, and some of the features and some of the innovation that we're putting into that. We're obviously the same. I don't know if you guys have been following it, but there has been some concerns around the Ethereum platform in the last few months. And we've dug into it quite deep, because we have a duty of care and a responsibility to make sure that the migration onto Ethereum, onto an Ethereum base, is not opening us up, our stakeholders up to any vulnerabilities. What we are seeing, and what our analysis is showing us, and what our consultants are saying, is that what's happening is that the Ethereum platform, or the blockchain, is very, very robust and very good. And I shared with you some months ago how the Chinese government has actually measured kind of the power of the different blockchains, and said that the Ethereum was the best with the most potential in many ways. So we were quite reassured by that. What's happening is that people are launching onto the Ethereum platform, and then they're getting their smart contracts wrong, and there are people and hackers be built up on a smart contract basis. So we wanted to be sure of our ground. So we've done a lot of research on this in the last few months. We're still on track for our release of this and step one at the end of this month. But just wanted to share with you that it's not, you just don't press a magic button and hope for the best. You have to make sure that everything is for the best, and that's kind of the responsibility that we take very, very seriously. Because we have a lot of interest and a vested interest in doing things correctly. The slide that I'm showing you now is about some of the journey that we've taken as the Digital Currency Foundation and as the Leocoin Foundation, where we've run and hosted events in the Houses of Parliament in London. A lot of these pictures here are from the event that we did last year, when we launched the Digital Currency Day in the calendar. So the 16th of January, on a global basis from the UK, is Digital Currency Day. This is a day in the calendar that just gives cognizance and recognition to digital currencies around the world, because this is something that was new, that didn't exist before. So we had to create a day around it. This Wednesday, we are doing another event in the Houses of Parliament, and very much I'm looking forward to that, because we're also doing some fun things where we are kind of tipping our hat to the abuse that banks do in our world. We're going to travel around and talk about piracy and stealing people's money, and we're going to create a bit of a media stir in the UK around how digital currencies as an independent currencies are sort of bypassing the monopoly that banks and central banks and federal banks have over the issuance of money, and we will probably get some PR of that. Would be quite cool. But we're also doing a very highbrow event in the Houses of Parliament with members of Parliament and parliamentarians then and important stakeholders in digital currencies and finance and business in the UK are invited to. We're also having some 10 or 20 of our members attending from all over the world. So again, it's a very, very strong event where some of our members will be able to say, I was in the Houses of Parliament in this exclusive meeting organized by the Leocoin Foundation. So that is just very, very cool. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. So what I mean to say with all of that is that we have a stake and a vested interest to make sure that everything with Leocoin 3 goes right. We can't shoot from the hip, and we can't sort of launch something hanky-panky. We don't have the opportunity to sort of launch something and then it breaks and says, oh, never mind, we'll launch Leocoin 4 now. That's not how we roll. So the reality of that is that sometimes it takes time, and we work very, very hard to make sure that we get it right. So that's where we are on that. And now, as I told you, we're reviewing everything to do with our plan. We're reviewing everything to do with our business, and we're making sure that we go in the right direction for the future. One of the things that we've been running is a rank award incentive for bronze, silver, and gold, and this can't carry on forever, so there'll certainly be some changes to that. For kind of commercial interest reasons, we don't want to give our competitors the nod and say when, but very, very soon, we don't want to actually issue that level of coinage into the platform, because we don't want to deflate the value of it for the people who are already stakeholders. So just telling you now that this could end at any time, take advantage while it lasts. There is kind of a deadline-driven thing, and you don't want to kick yourself, or you don't want to have your new member kick yourself and say, oh, you told me this, and then it didn't happen. So that's where that is. And finally then, call to action is always speak to more people, but we've got two deadlines for the 31st of January. One is Brazil, and the other one is the Momentum Incentive. Both of those conclude at the end of January, so these next 2 weeks are kind of important for you there. You have until the 31st of March for the executive to Cambodia, so if you have people, or if you yourself are aiming for executive, get the job done, and you'll be part of the team that we will look very, very much forward to looking at a very, very magical destination. So in conclusion, thank you very much indeed for your time here. I'm very excited about some of the changes that I've sprung on you. This is something that's going to happen over the next 3, 4, 5 months. We've got some major programs that we're launching in Brazil at the end of March. We're piloting this in a few very narrowly defined markets. You will hear rumors about it, I'm sure, but there's some very, very cool stuff going on. We've got programs that I've been talking to leaders about. We got one that is in social entrepreneurship. We've got another one that's in a place, a hotbed for entrepreneurship, and we're now piloting some of those and just in the process of launching them through, based on me being able to get round and speak to some of our leaders in other regions. We want to maybe do a little bit of a fly-in to the UK so that we can sit together, so I can talk you through this properly, face-to-face. So that will happen over the next week or two, and the formal invites will come out to senior stakeholders in our business and senior leaders. So I look forward to getting together with you in the UK head office and talk about some of the future with our leaders, and don't worry if you think that you should be, you're probably on the list. So I'll leave it there to say thank you very, very much indeed for your kind attention here. This is Dan Anderson, and I think that you can hear in my voice that I'm very, very excited about where we are now on the 14th day of January 2019. So I look forward to celebrating your success, and I'll see you at the top. And if not at the top, then certainly I'll see you next week in the webinar in 7 days' time. Thank you very much indeed.